I just want to make a couple little comments on this little Ford Fiesta. Mine's a 2011, so I think up until for North America, up until 2019, it's the same chassis, same engine, same transmission. They had 1 year, I believe they had a 1 liter turbo, but the same chassis. Mine happens to be a four-door sedan. It's a base model. The reason why I wanted to have another quick little blab about this car is I'm looking around here where I live, and everybody's got expensive cars, and sure, I'd love to have an expensive car, but mine's probably the cheapest car on the whole lot. And every time I get in the car, every time I get out of the car, every time I drive the car, I appreciate it and I actually enjoy this little car. It's a solid little car. The doors are nice and solid. It's got a strong, almost like a like I used to get this feeling from when I had my old Volkswagen. A very chunky, solid feeling, and in such an inexpensive car and a little car, it's quite. It feels good. You know, I'm not feeling like I'm driving something that going to fall apart and or just flimsy and cheap. Even though it is a cheap car, it's got a solid feel to it. And mine's a sedan, so the hatchback is the same platform, same wheelbase, same suspension, same engine, transmission. So I would assume that the body rigidity, the feeling is similar or the same. So the only thing with this car, it's a little bit small, solid rear axle. For its, you know, I mean, I think everything in its class has a solid rear axle. There's nothing else that has a independent rear suspension in this size. Although that would be super cool if they made a little car like this with an independent rear suspension and a 6-speed manual, and mine doesn't have air conditioning, so all you need is air conditioning. Now it will cost the same as the next size up, say the Corolla class, Honda Civic class, but yeah, I guess if someone's paying for a brand new car, they want a little bit bigger than this. It's a little bit small, and so it undercuts the compact class. This is, I guess, a super mini class, ultra compact class. So the price has to be a little bit lower than the compact class of Civics and so forth, which it is, and those are the compromises that you have to take. But you know, I bought this car used, so it was a ridiculous value. The Ford Fiestas got a really bad reputation for their dual clutch transmissions. I'm trying to figure out how bad they are, but I'd probably stay away from one personally, regardless. You know, it's something that the manufacturers, you want to trust them. You're spending all that kind of money on these cars. You want to trust them, but you know, these companies like Ford, and I don't know why they do these things. They've done some things that you can't trust them. So, you know, even though there's a brand new one out, they say they made improvements. I'd probably still stay away from their particular dual clutch transmission. Some of the other manufacturers have dual clutch transmissions. They've been very good, but the Ford, I've understand it's got a lot of problems. Leaking oil leaks and fluid leaks and seals leaking. You know, clutches wearing out prematurely, in addition to how poorly they drive. So manual transmission in this car, but I just wanted to go over that again. And in the manual transmission car, in this car, it's a real decent car. It's a great bargain if you're looking for a used car, in my mind, and you don't need the space. If you don't need a lot of space and you're looking for an economical car that's good on fuel, that's inexpensive, it seems to be pretty reliable, pretty durable, pretty solid feeling, and it's actually quite, you know, probably, you know, the best to drive in its class. Maybe the Mazda 2 might be a little more fun to drive. I've driven a hatchback of those, and they're quite fun to drive. But this is not too far off. It doesn't have the same. I find this Ford, whoever designed this Ford, whoever designed this generation of Ford, obviously it wasn't European, and it's just the shapes in here is like it reminds me of the Tron, and reminds me of the Pontiac Aztec or something like that. The Pontiac design, the late designs, I think those seem like those guys who used to work for the Pontiac division, when they shut down, they probably hired them at Ford to design the interior, which was a shame that the people didn't have the foresight to see past that. But I've seen the new 2024 European Fiesta, and their dash and their interior is you know, up to date, a modern, kind of less of this nonsense, funny shapes all over the place for no reason. Much more functional looking, which this car should have been then. So that you know, as compared to the Mazda 2 in this generation, you know, the Mazda 2 is a little nicer. But for the price, for how much more a Mazda 2 is resale value than a Ford Fiesta, I don't think it's worth it. Yeah, the interior is not as goofy, but the drive and the feeling and the solidness, it may be even a little bit more solid feeling than the Mazda 2. Maybe not as quite as agile and quick turning, but a little more solid feeling, and a little bit probably better highway ride. American cars always tend to have a little bit better highway ride. So there you are. There's a little extra on the Ford Fiesta that I wanted to share. If you have anything to share, please make a comment, put a link, put a like. I'd really appreciate it, and hopefully we can share this, and more people can share the information and have a lot of fun. All right, thanks for watching.